Hello, everyone. This is Julia Barbaro, host of the Julia and Gino podcast. I'm here with the co-founder of Jake and Gino, my husband and co-host, Gino Barbaro.
Do you know what today's guest is talking
I
about?
know. It's money. I mean, I can't even. You have no idea, everyone listening, how excited my husband is.
We're
it's a
not
big
talking
deal.
about relationships.
It's
We're
a
not
bit.
talking.
We
Well,
will.
we will. I have to. I'm forced to. We're not going to talk about the family. Well, we are. We're not going to talk about communication. Well, we
but
are. But we're going to be focusing on money, the psychology of money, the emotions of money, and more importantly, happy money.
Who's on our show? Because this is really. I'm
little-
actually excited. I wrote down all these questions, so I was like, wow, this is going to be good.
Today's guest is money and happiness expert Ken Honda. He is a best-selling self-development author in Japan with book sales surpassing 8 million copies since 2001. That is a lot of happy money, Julia. That is awesome. His latest book is called Happy Money, The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money, and I am holding it up. Welcome to the show, Ken Honda.
Thank you, and Gino, Julia. I so enjoy watching you. It's so much love and fun and laughter coming out, from the screen. And I'm on the other side of the planet, but I could feel it, the heat and the love. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Ken. And let me tell you, years ago, there was not that kind of passion and love.
Always.
Well, there always was.
On our podcast, you mean?
No, I'm just in our relationship. It started out rocky like a lot of other relationships because our relationship with money. It took me years to understand the money. And when I saw your book, Happy Money, yellow, and the word happy with money, it really resonated with me. I finally started understanding what money is. Money is a tool. Ken, what is happy money to you, your definition?
Yeah, so happy money is money that makes you smile when you receive it. And when you spend it, it brings you joy. On the other hand, most of us are in the flow of unhappy money, which makes us feel frustrated when we receive it. We complain about it. Oh, is this all? And I cannot make both ends meet. And also, when we pay bills, we complain about it. Wow, the electricity bills and taxes are ripping off, and you go crazy. That is unhappy money making you feel. So it's not really how much money you have or how much money you make. It's about your relationship with your money. So if your relationship is money is good, it touches every area of your life. So your relationship improves, your work situation, of course, financial situation, and also your peace of mind. So that's why I'm helping millions of people transform their relationship with money, and it starts from your head and also from your heart.
Mm-hmm. Ken, I'd love for you to share your upbringing with your father and then your decision at the age of 29 to stay home with your child, and in your words, the best decision of your life.
Thank you. So my father is a very successful tax accountant. He started teaching me about money since I was not 8 or a little younger than that. So I had a very good idea of what money was. But, because of my family's best client and best friend committed suicide, not only suicide, family suicide, to avoid the shame of bankruptcy for his family, my father's best friend killed entire family of 4 and then committed suicide, which drug my father down to depression. So I remember the last times he smiled was like when I was 13 or so. He slipped down into the alcoholism and got abusive. So I really wanted to know about the meaning of money, how and why money makes people so crazy. So I started learning everything I could about money since I was 10, 11. And I started my business when I was 20. I never worked for a big corporation. So I have been an entrepreneur entire life. And luckily, I could retire at the age 29 for a few years for my baby girl when my wife, Julia, and I found out that she was pregnant. But originally, I thought I'd have a break for like 2 weeks. In her mind, it's 2 years. And then I thought, okay, yeah, let's have a little long time, but maternity leave. Yeah, long time maternity leave is because maternity leave is like 2 weeks. For women maybe 2 months, but for guys maybe like 2 hours or 2 days in Japan. You know, and they never even go to visit the hospital. I was the one who picked up my daughter and just cut the cord. And I thought that she's gonna die. I, I triple checked with my midwife. Is it okay? I mean, she's not gonna die with this, right? So I did that, so I could witness every moment when she started speaking. I think her first word was "daddy," because I was there. She said "daddy," and I witnessed she started walking, crawling, walking, and talking. So those memories is something that I would not ever trade for money.
Mhm. And how was it received? Did your family think you're crazy? Did society think you're crazy? Did other men reach out to you and say, "Ken, how did you do that? You're a role model for me." How did it transpire afterwards?
Right. A lot of people thought, I was going crazy, but because I had a accounting business, consulting business, legit, I had short hair, nice suit and tie, but look at me like long hair and a rebel, right? And a lot of people not criticize me because I was fairly well respected by my friends, but they didn't get it. But only a few guys who approached me like, Ken, I think you're great, but I can't do it. And so a few years into semi-retirement, I had a lot of people, my friends or strangers, asking me to meet up with them for coffee. And I had all the time in the world, so I cannot go out night for drinking or dinner because I have to be at home. But during lunchtime or like, when the sun is up, in our house, when the sun is up, I can go anywhere and then come back.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
I had a couple hours with people that whoever wanted my wisdom, because I've learned from the best mentors in my age in my at the time. So I wrote down a few pages of essay on happiness and money, and I started distributing that to my friends, and that got very popular. So I just staple them every day, and then I got sore hands. So because of the mixed order, I'll make a story short. But I printed 3,000 instead of 300. The guy was very smart. Sir, the cost of printing goes down like almost 80% if you print your 3,000. All that. Okay, I said it's a good deal. And 2 weeks later, two trucks came in front of my apartment, and then boxes of booklets. He didn't tell me 3,000 is a lot of boxes. If he said no, this would be like 100 boxes. Oh, no, no, I probably said no. So I told my wife, sorry, because of my mistake, I got so many boxes. Would it be okay? She said, of course it's not okay. So I said, okay, I promise to get rid of this, in 6 months. So Julia smiled. She's a very, big heart. And she told me, I'll give you 3 months. Either boxes out or you out,
Oh
okay?
boy.
And I started calling out a lot of friends, and sorry, you said, Gino, you said my book is good. Julia, you said my booklets are great. So I'm going to give it to you. Like, you give me
Hmm.
50? Okay, I'm going to send you 50. And I got rid of all the boxes in about a few weeks, which is good. It's for free. And then I got many faxes. At the time, there were fax machines,
Mhm.
like
Yes.
10 or 20 requests for asking more. And then I printed another 3,000. And this time I hired a storage unit, and then another 5,000. I was so excited that anybody wanted to read something, of my writing, because
Mhm.
my self image was so low, and then I printed another 5,000. By the time I printed about 100,000 copies, a publisher called me, and the rest is history. I published about 200 books, physical books, and sold almost 9 million copies.
Wow.
Mostly on happiness, money, entrepreneurship, the balance between work and money, and life, and family.
Ken, what do you think the reason was that people really liked the book and resonated with the book?
A lot of people are confused about money. So
Mhm.
people said, I'm a magician to solve all the mysteries around money. What happened, why it happened. And then a lot of people were lost. I don't know why I lost all my money. I don't know why our families fought over money. I don't know why my parents used to fight over a little thing, and that kind of mystery was solved in my books. I have
Mhm.
only one book in English. I'm going to translate more into English. I promised millions of people by now. So my second book will come out soon. But so in those books, a lot of mystery is solved. So when you're a child, we're being denied for a nice Christmas present that we really wished. Santa Claus. I thought Santa Claus made a wrong order. Dear Santa, I want a mountain bike, not this kind of bike. So like we are so disappointed by the way that parents reacted with money.
Mhm. Before Julia jumps in,
Yeah.
I have one more
Okay.
question. I think one of the things that you really touch upon in this book is the word scarcity. I
Hmm.
think that really affects people when they think about money. There's not enough. I need to get more. And scarcity, as we write eloquently in the book, it's really one of the functions that makes money unhappy. Can you touch about scarcity a little bit for us, please?
In the world, there's so much money, circulating in the world,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, the distribution system is not well built. So only the people who have high financial IQ and then also the big corporations. So you probably saw this picture, like the 8 billionaires sitting in a golf cart. They monopolize like 90% of the wealth or something, right?
Hmm.
So distribution system isn't well built. So it's the problem is the distribution. So we don't the money doesn't come through us. If it come through us, probably okay. But the money circulates somewhere else.
Hmm.
So we feel like if we let go of the money, I don't know when I'm going to get the next food or next paycheck.
Hmm.
So, but the thing is, the health is the same thing. Unless you release, you cannot eat well. So
Hmm.
for me, like people who try to be stingy or try to save money is like people who eat, and refuse to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to number one, number two, I swear, because if I just let go of what I ate, I have less. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if you just don't release, it's not going to be good for your health. So you have to
Hmm.
release well and receive well. Release
Hmm.
well, receive well. That is the basic health of financial lesson number one. But people refuse. They don't want to because
Hmm.
there's not enough. Is what they believe in their head.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Again, I love this. Would you say to someone, maybe me, maybe it's me I'm asking for, growing up, it was never enough money, couldn't afford it. It was just that was the mentality that I heard my whole life. And then I go into a marriage who, he has a different view on money. And so,
Mhm.
obviously couples fight and they argue about money and then the kids see it and then that becomes another problem. But let's go back to early on.
Mhm.
What do you say to the listeners that have that they think of money and they get kind of freaked out and they just never enough, they're always afraid, their view of money is so foreign, like they don't even know how to be happy about it. What do you give? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have what I call money trauma. We have
Hmm.
a lot of those without even thinking about it. Like a birthday gift. At age 7, forget it. I can buy anything I want now. But what happened or what didn't happen 30, 40, 50 years ago, it's still like a little thorn in a throat that it's been bothering you. So whenever you want to do something like say start your own business, you're kind of like scared because what you want may not be what you really end up getting, because you're afraid like parents and now God is not God is not going to give me what I want because I was
Hmm.
denied so many times, and also there seems like not much money is going around, so I don't think I can make it. So this limiting belief is formed around money. So that is a bigger danger I see. We tend to think very small. So instead of just, you could probably own like hundreds of properties, for example, but like buying two properties is like, oh, I think I have, too much. I cannot take any more debt, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So we are so stuck in a small box, which sometimes is fine because being content with what we have is also another shortcut to happiness. But at the same time, our limiting beliefs really bind us to a smaller, less generous person.
Mhm. I have so many questions here.
Well, I wanna go 'cause
You want to
I
go?
kinda
Okay.
I kinda started it,
Oh,
but I
okay.
have to
Okay.
finish it, you know? We're talking
Yes.
about
Go
now
ahead.
the
Ken's wife
relationship.
is Julia. You're Julia. We have to defer to our Julias.
Okay.
So go ahead, Julia. I'm
I
sorry.
I I do wanna get into I mean, a lot of probably the number one issue in a marriage is money,
Yes.
and let's talk about that. I wanna know what the remedy is. What do people need to hear?
Right. So, I do a big seminar, like a few thousand people, and then their favorite time is a couple session. I do a lot of Q&As, and also I used to do a lot of marriage counseling around money.
Mhm.
So the most juicy part is like they fight over little thing that, as we do, it's very real, right? So we have totally different views. So the same couple that are attracted for the same reason could be the same reason for divorce. I talk about many personality types in my books, and many personality types are, we are the savers, spenders, gamblers, money makers. So you're, even though you're born and brought up in the same family, your siblings, your brothers and sisters end up being a totally different people. So your brother could be now a saver, and your sister could be a hippie, and
Mhm.
you can be a gambler or a moneymaker. And when we meet, it could be men, men, women, women. Either way is fine. But one side gets attracted to the other one because, say, moneymaker and spender. Because moneymaker, they're interested in making money. They're just, if they're a real estate investor, their interest is buying another property, right? So not, they're not interested in just spending his entire time or her entire time in a shopping mall. Whereas the spender people, they love shopping. So when they meet each other like a few years ago, uh, the moneymaker people feel attracted to this person because the spenders know how to enjoy life.
Mm.
Wow, she's beautiful, he's gorgeous, and then I never thought life can be that fun. And she would say she knows, or he knows, they know expensive restaurants and nice places to visit to, and these moneymakers have money. On the other hand, uh, they think like, wow, if I marry to this person, I don't have to worry about money for the rest of my life. But 5 years later, boom, they come to my session, and the moneymaker say like, Ken, it, at the rate of her spending or his spending, I think I'm gonna go broke, in 2 years. And this one say, I just married, she or he's crying, I just married the most boring person. All they care is property, all they
Uh,
care is investment or business, like a new restaurant. Like, I want to enjoy life, I want a divorce. And that's how they get separated. So what I'm telling you is that you have to understand there are different personality types, and nobody is wrong. They became that way to avoid pain around money. The moneymaker became who they are because more money would solve the problem, is what they decided when they were younger. So the spender people feel powerful when they spend money. That's why they became a spender. So, there could be a combination, money maker and spender. They make a lot of money, they buy a lot of things, that kind of people. Or my mother was a warrior. Around the end of every month, she called me and, Ken, are you okay with money? Can you pay all the bills? And it's like a ritual. And so one time, like after like 5 years, Mom, I have enough money. I can pay all my bills for the next 10 years or 20 years. Don't worry about it. So she started crying, sobbing, and Mom, you know, I have only one job, that is to worry about my kids. Is that wrong? Is that against the law? And I said, okay, Mom, you can worry as much as you want. And I take it as love. So, warrior type people, they express their love by worrying. So, we have all different ways of showing love. Money maker people try to show their love by making more money. Spender people just buy many roses. Saver people, they try to save money for their kids to show their love. So we have a different expression. So unless we understand each other from a loving, generous point of view, we think the other one is so wrong. And that's how we think and feel.
Ken, I didn't know that Italian mothers and Japanese mothers are the same because my mother was calling me the same. She's called me about 2 or 3 years ago saying, "Do you have enough money? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Mom, I have $300 million in assets under management. I will be okay. I'll be okay to pay the mortgage." And it's very interesting and it's very stressful for me. And the fact that she did that for a lot of my life made me think small, I only had one restaurant for 20 years. But when I
Uh-huh.
started my real estate venture, I bought over 700 apartment units within 5 years. And that mentality just completely changed. And you wrote something in the book that's very, very powerful for me. Don't let money define who you are. And if you
Yes.
do that, you're going down a dark road because you will never have enough because you will want the next deal and the next property and the next $1 million. And all you're doing is working for money. To me, money is just a result. If I do a great job and I love it and I'm passionate, the result is more money and it's great. And then I can have impact with that money. And that money will truly be happy money. Can you speak to that quote? Because that really moved me when I read that in the book.
Thank you. I've interviewed many wealthy people, individuals, and the problem with our life is like we have the end. It could be 60 years or 70 years. My friend died around my age, but a lot younger. He died in his 40s. So we never know when we're gonna go to the next
Mhm.
place. So we cannot keep making money for the rest of our life. We cannot keep saving our money for the rest of our life. From some time we have to start spending money. So, but that is something we tend to forget. We
Mhm.
feel like we're going to keep living forever. So that's why we have a creature of habits. We just keep saving, keep spending, keep making money, so we are almost automatically driven to do the same. So if we did that, uh, we would never find any time for yourself. Um,
Mhm.
a, an acquaintance of mine started a chain restaurant. His company went public. He had 600 restaurants all over Japan, and his dream it was when he's 60, he can go anywhere in the world. His dream is to visit all the major museums in the world, and he was planning to do it until hits 60, and he died of a heart attack when he was 59.
Oh.
So when he knew that he had only 5 years at the age of 55, I think he definitely left the work, because he didn't need to create 200 more restaurants.
Yeah.
But the tricky part is we never know. If wouldn't that be great if we knew how many days we have?
Mhm.
Like and on my iPhone, like Ken, you have 385 days, so make it count. So if iPhone has a like maybe an iPhone 25, they give you, because of they can do the pulse and the heart rate and everything. And then, oh, shoot, I have only 3 years. I have to start living. So you
Mhm.
have to wait your iPhone to start telling you how many days you live, and just start enjoying your life, because life is made of making money and spending money. So if you're making too much, you should start uh, s-
Enjoying it.
enjoying. And if you're saving too much, or if you're just spending too much, you have to start saving.
Mhm.
This conversation is so fascinating because I think a lot of relationships that we know of so obvious now why they got together, especially ours.
Yes.
Especially ours. When I think that when Ken's talking about how couples get together,
Mhm.
you are the ultimate saver,
The money maker, baby.
right? And the
Yes. Make it
moneymaker.
rain.
And maybe you needed me in your life.
Yeah,
Just right, Ken? Can
yeah,
you back me up here?
it's not maybe. He definitely needed you. And I see there are money archetypes. You are the goddess of money who reigns on other people. So
I'm gonna
if you
use
just
that.
yeah, so if you divorce him and just marry another Italian guy, he'll be a millionaire.
Oh, this is one of my favorite podcasts
Oh,
so far.
goddess of money. I like
I love
that.
that.
So then I'm just gonna hang out. If you're the goddess of money, I could just sit on the couch for the
Well, we
rest of the
have I have
decade.
we got income coming in,
No,
apparently,
no,
so I don't have
we've
to
got
worry
income
about it.
coming in. Yes, we've got income coming in, huh? Jake and Gino is
Gino
not
works
Julia and
really
Gino.
hard, so I knew that from the beginning. I didn't have to worry, and
Yeah,
that's
so Gino, all you have to do is pray for goddess. In the morning, thank you, goddess, for just making me live. Thank you, goddess, for just making everything happen. Wow, thank you.
I'm going to ask the next
that's it.
question. This is
That's
not
it.
fair, okay?
Go ahead.
This is important because
Yeah.
the book not only talks about the psychology of money, enjoying money, spending money, scarcity, emotions, it talks about the functions of money. And you lay it out so beautifully, which is growth, exchange, and savings. I mean, there's if you can go through those three to make people understand, there's not much you can do with money. So those three are really important. Can you dive into those three for us real quick?
Yes, unfortunately, we're never taught about money when we're in school because school teachers, the worst teachers, when it comes to money, because they're getting paid the same amount. So there are many of them are saver types. They don't understand how money works and how business works, so they cannot teach about money. Like Japanese, in Japanese school system, they're English teachers who cannot speak English. So how can kids learn and to be able to speak English if teachers cannot speak English, right? The same thing. So money is a hard subject to teach. So that's why I hope all the viewers start teaching your kids right now. Because if you understand money, it creates miracles. And I'm sure, Gina, Julia, your kids understand money, and money is good. Money can help people. Money can make people smile and happy. If you know that, uh, our life would be much better. To do that,
Mhm,
you have to teach kids how money functions. And
mhm,
but a lot of times we know that money is used for exchange of goods and services. Since the Roman Empire, we've been doing it. So that's
mhm,
understandable. And at the same time, we know how to save money. Japanese people save money too much. Americans and Mexicans spend too much.
mhm.
I think if we just understand from each other, that would be good. But like a couple, we don't function that way, right? And the last part is role is to grow your money. A lot of people don't know how to grow the money. They know they want to speculate their money with cryptocurrency, for example. They invest in something that they don't even know. So your
Mhm,
friends told you, there's a new cryptocurrency. You should invest it. And then if you just wire $10,000 into the account, and that's the last time you hear from your friend again. So it's not investment; it's like a charity. It's a charity to con artists. So you have to understand how to grow your money. You have to understand if you're a real estate investor, you have to know what good properties, how to buy, how to save, and stuff like that. And if you're a stock investors, you have to understand ROE, ROI, and that kind of things. So you have to understand how money grows. And I think
mhm,
until you hit, say, $300,000 mark, you should invest in yourself.
mhm,
If you don't understand what's going on with money and business, you become a sucker, such an easy person for a con artist. There are a lot
mhm,
of scams out there who just try to get your money, and just
mhm,
remember this: they're smarter than you. So, like, uh, you cannot outbeat them because
mhm,
they all have the master skills of deceiving people.
Mm.
mhm. So, Ken, what I would say, there's two things that I want to follow up. My wife can ask the next question, but what I would say is number one, understand your financial vocabulary.
Mm.
If you know what cash on cash return is, if you can speak the financial language, you'll be able to understand. And the second thing is, if you're lazy, just go out and find a goddess like Julia and just marry her and you'll be okay. The money will be flowing. So, either the financial vocabulary, and if you're not lucky with that, go and find Julia. Julia, what say you, baby?
It's funny how our conversations, our questions are very different.
Yes, very
Because
different.
my
Yes.
question is, there is something written that this question is interesting because I thought it was just my family, and then I'm thinking of my husband's and someone else we know. A lot of families at one point in their life, whether their parents or their grandparents pass away, and then it's the family heirloom, all the property and everything. There's a lot of fighting amongst families. So much fighting about money that's not even theirs, that they actually stop speaking altogether for the second half of their life.
That's unhappy money.
It is so, I mean, it is so toxic. I think about so many people that have they don't speak to their siblings anymore because of one issue with money. What do you say about that? What's your guidance on that?
Yeah, it's just, personally, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Like, if you, and also it's their parents' fault, really. My parents taught us about money well. So, like, I have a sister and one brother. So when my mom passed away a few years ago, we sat down on my brother's kitchen table, and we talked about how we divide the money. And then you know how long do you know how long it takes? It took us only like 5 minutes. My brother said, "Okay, this is what she left, and what do you think about guys?" Like, I said, "Okay, how about this and how about that?" And then my sister smiled and nodded. My brother smiled, and I smiled. We cried, and then we held hands together. Thank you, mom, for leaving this. We'll just make this money count. And that was the most beautiful 5 minute meeting I've ever had in my life. So if you teach your kids about money well, your kids will be okay. So it's parents' responsibility. If you have even a little bit, it's not once again how much money you leave, it's
Yeah.
how you leave it. Even if it's, say, like $500 you leave, they're gonna fight over. I should get 300. No, I should. No, we should divide. So it's about how they think about money, and
Mhm.
and you have to teach your kids to learn about money so people understand fairness. I think it's a plague anywhere, not only in North America. It's about entitlement.
Mhm.
My daughter, who we moved to Boston for 1 year to just experience something new. And the first sentence my daughter learned at school when she was 5, 6, my daughter said, all the kids just keep saying, yelling at each other, one word. And I just wrote it down. And then, what is it? And she said, uh, it's not fair. And then
Ah,
that's that's what all the kids are saying. So people think it's not fair. I should get more. So that leads to the hell.
One way I would, I'm
well,
sorry,
I
before
just
you
want,
ask your
yeah.
next
Okay.
question,
What was it? It was,
it's incumbent
yeah.
upon parents
Yes.
to leave a
What I wanted to
legacy
say.
and to leave instructions. And unfortunately, 70% of Americans do not have an estate plan. And what that means is those 70% don't have what they do have one. It's with the state, it's not theirs. So you're making this money, and you may say to yourself, I don't have a lot of money. I may have a small house, I may have some savings. You do
Mhm.
have something. You have the power to control the money and to leave a legacy and to direct it to where you want, so you don't have your children fight over the money. And you as a parent can be fair about it as well and leave your request and let that money go to where you want it to go to. If you don't want to send it to the kids, fine. If you don't think they deserve it, but it's very difficult when you leave it up to the children, the next
But
generation, because
yeah.
everyone has a different view on where it should
I
go.
think, though, Ken made a really good point, is that responsibility of the parents to
Yes.
teach the kids about money.
Hmm.
Because even if you do that, everything's perfectly aligned, everyone gets the same amount. There are still people that are be like, but I took
Yes.
care of mom.
Yes.
I should
Yes.
get more. And so that's that entitlement that I think is missing, even if it's perfectly divided amongst everyone, right, Ken? There's that
Yes.
entitlement where it's not fair, like you said. So how do we
Yes.
avoid that part of it?
I wish you guys can read Japanese because I wrote everything on that in my Japanese books.
Well, that's why we're
Emotions.
working. I
Ken,
told you,
Ken,
Veronica's learning.
I can barely read English. Okay, let's not get too excited here. I can barely get through the
We'll
English
get
language.
Veronica
So
to
yes,
translate for us.
Yeah.
yes,
So yeah, you can have your a daughter translate. But I'll just make a quick point. Um, uh, I have taught emotional intelligence and also money And I have actually with Mind Valley, I have a money EQ course which they promote. We did a few years ago. Money emotional intelligence is so important that anybody should get when you're small. It's about intelligence that you feel a lot of emotions. You know, money can pull out the best and the worst from you. So unless you pay attention to all that kind of emotions, you feel bad, you feel terrible, you feel so violent. So Julia was right in saying that even as Gino instructed, like everything is divided into like five or six or three evenly. There's this feeling that comes out, you know, and then unless you just do that healing as a parent, I think that's the last job that parents can do. Heal your money wounds from your kids and just go
Uh,
clean.
mhm,
And that only leaves appreciation. That is
mhm,
the best place. So you have to
Mhm.
really work on the embarrassment, shame, and guilt, anger, resentment, entitlement. You have to clean not all of them, but a lot of emotions. Otherwise, your violence just does a lot of bad thing in your system.
One
So
word that
true.
we didn't mention, and we should have mentioned it early on, and it was my fault, is the word gratitude.
Mm.
If
Mm.
I was grateful that my parents were leaving me $300,000, I
Mhm.
had $300,000 more than I had yesterday. We don't look at it from that perspective. If we are grateful for everything that enters our life, then we don't even have this fair, not fair. Because is it fair that you're getting this money from your parents that they had all these years and now it's not fair, but you should be very grateful for it. And if you have gratitude towards anything coming into your life, that money will even be much more happier, in my opinion.
Yes, I so agree with you, Gina, on that. We tend to forget how to appreciate our money. That's why I called when the money comes in, I call it arigato in, arigato out. You know, like years ago, there's this karate kid, walks in, walks out. So arigato in, arigato out. So if you have that in your mind, when the money comes in next time, you can say appreciate. I appreciate this money. You can say grazie. Grazie. So I love it a different way. So no, by the way, Japanese people love Italian, so I sometimes say grazie mani.
I love
I
that.
love
That's
that.
so good.
It's more fun.
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
I
Makes it
mean,
better.
Julia, I know you've
Yeah.
got a lot of questions. We're going a little long on time. I could spend the next
Yeah.
hour speaking to you easily, but how can the listeners get a hold of you, Ken? Because it's important that they read the book. I'm going to hold it up again for
Mhm.
everybody on YouTube. It's Happy Money. It's not a very hard read. I read it in a couple of days. I'm reading it again because there's so much information in here. It really is the psychology, it's the relationship you have with money, it's the relationship you have with yourself, with your family, how to plan, what money is all about. Where can the listeners get a hold of you?
Thank you. You can find all the information at kenhonda.com, KenHond, as in a car. Even though I drive Toyota, kenhonda.com. I'm translating a lot of information. Like on my website, you can tell your money personality type, for free of charge,
All right.
and you can just check out other things. Like I started Arigato Living Community, where all the people in the world, we got about what people from 30 different countries get together once a month. Sometimes for European time, sometimes for North, Central, South American time. I teach on happy money, and I take answers from the group. So
Mhm.
that's what I do. So I can find a lot of other YouTube too videos if you Google Ken Honda.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you. Julia, final words
No, this
before
was
I
this
wrap it
was
up?
such a good topic. I was pretending I wasn't excited about this, but I really was because I wanted to give him the
All you
excitement.
had to do is call her a
Yeah.
goddess, and she loved the show. I mean, we could have left it at that, and she'd have been happy with that,
Well,
right?
no, this is a big deal, and I know because a lot of people get divorced over it. A lot of like we were talking about, families literally separate because of money, and that's the only reason. And it kills me that that's the way people are okay with. And I know they're not,
Mhm.
but this is a good first step for people. Everyone listening, buy the book, research Ken because, gosh, I love
I
it.
want to lay claim to Ken's life by just wrapping up his story and,
Okay.
and discussing it because you have a young Ken Honda who's at home with his father who's a tax accountant and is learning all about money. Unfortunately, a tragedy unfolds where one of his dad's clients commits suicide and commits suicide with the family, and that affects Ken's dad and brings him down a deep, dark hole. Ken learns about money and is really affected by money, but he goes to college, he gets a great job, he marries Julia, his goddess, and at the age of 29 years old, he decides to leave the workforce. He decides to stay home. Instead of staying home for 2 hours, he stays home for a couple of years and he bucks the trend. He not only does things differently at the home, he's doing things differently from viewing money. And then he decides to start writing about it and he starts meeting people and talking to people about money and is happy about money. And people must be saying to themselves, what's he writing about? How could he be happy about money? What does he know that I don't know? And the fateful day when he orders 3,000 copies and they come and pull up to his house and his wife Julia is like, I love you, Ken, but I don't know, if you don't get rid of these things, it's either you or the books. You're the highway or the books are going the highway. And Ken decides to make it happen. He doesn't sit around. He says, I'm going to get rid of these books. I'm going to do what I had to do. This is my calling. This is my gift. This is my passion. This is why I was put on this earth. He gets rid of them. And to his amazement, people are like, I love this stuff. Ken, where can I get more? And he's on to something. And 20 years later, 8 million copies, he's just scratching the surface because he's got a lot of his writings in Japanese and needs them get written in English. We need them in our language because there are millions of people in this country that need to make money happy again for their lives. So for anybody listening, go to kenhonda.com, buy the book, and start having a beautiful relationship with money. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you so much. You just summarized it so well. Uh, Once again, the God, the God, only the God can marry her goddess. So I worship to both of you, and thank you so much for being the light of the world. America and the world needs people like you. So I really respect what you do, and I'm sending all my happy money to you.
Thank you, Ken.
I'd be happy. Well, I can, from what you say, I don't even need it because I got hers. So I'll send that happy money to somebody else. But you know what? Thank you. I really appreciate you being on. This has been
Yeah, thank
awesome.
you
And
so much.
listen, for all the
Such a good
listeners out there,
conversation.
thanks for spending part of your day with us. And truly pick up the book and start understanding how to make money more happy in your life.
Yeah, and visit us at juliaandgino.com.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.